Have you ever wondered what it's like to be a Power BI consultant? Is it a cool, innovative career, or is it just boring spreadsheets and numbers? And how do you even get to that place of being a Power BI consultant? Well, in this video, I want to share some of my experience, and hopefully, if you want to go down the same path, then this would give you an example of how you can get to the destination. So, for me, I've been a Power BI consultant for 5 years. Right now, I run my own data analytics agency called Vidicorp. We've had 500 clients over the years. We've worked with Google, Teleperformance, American Express, Delta Airlines, a few big names. But I started off without any experience in Power BI. So let me tell you how I got to this path. I started my career with accounting and finance, and I was first a bookkeeper and an unpaid intern in London doing work for an accountancy, and I was so desperate just to get some work experience anywhere, and I knew I wanted to work with numbers. That's why I went into accountancy, and it was boring. It was brutally boring. Like, I didn't use my thinking, like any of my analytical skills at all. And to be honest, that experience was still valuable to me because I learned what I didn't want to do. I was like, right now I will be looking for a job which is a complete opposite of what I tried. So after that, I went to get my master's in business analytics in the University of Surrey, and I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed coding, and I enjoyed the mathematical models that we learned. A lot of what we learned was machine learning models, and I think it's funny how universities teach you machine learning without even going into data processing, data visualization, simpler techniques of working with data. But, that's what we learned. It was definitely above my pay grade. It was above my understanding of data and processes of working with data. But that showed me what I want to do. I knew I wanted to write formulas and use my logical thinking throughout my work. And at the same time, I was applying for jobs when I was in the university, and that was also really hard. Finding my first job took me 300 plus applications. I'm an immigrant in the UK. I need a visa sponsorship in order to stay and work, and companies did not want to provide a visa sponsorship. So I ended up putting so much effort into finding my first job, and eventually I interviewed with a company called Autodesk, and they are a global software provider. They do about $2 billion a year in revenue, and they have about 10,000 people worldwide. And a recruiter told me they have this role of a financial analyst, and they need somebody who will work in Power BI. Luckily, I had experience in finance because I was an accounting and finance intern. I had my master's in business analytics, and we also learned a little bit of Power BI during our course. Not a lot, maybe 2 or 4 hours. But I thought, I should still continue pursuing this opportunity. So I told the recruiter, this is definitely something I'm interested in. I've learned Power BI. Obviously, I didn't know too much of it, but as soon as I got off the phone, I was so I told the guy I know Power BI. Now I need to live up to that expectation. So between this and my second interview with Autodesk, I did a Power BI course on Udemy, and I came up with my first portfolio item. When I came to the interview, it was one of my future colleagues, and she told me they're looking for somebody with Power BI experience, ideally. I told her, honestly, I don't have Power BI experience, but as soon as they told me they need somebody with Power BI experience, I I went online, I did a course, and I have my first portfolio item, which I can talk about. So I think she really appreciated the attitude and the interest that I showed to working with them. And I think in terms of getting your first job, that's all you need, really. They then wanted to schedule another interview with me. Between first and second interview, I did another Power BI course, got another portfolio item, told them about the functionality I learned, and they said that they want to hire me. To be honest, I feel this is the best way to learn Power BI is on a day job, because there is very little pressure in terms of just you getting up to speed. If you're getting like a junior level position, then people will understand that you're still in the process of developing those core skills. So especially if you work in a corporate environment, if you work in an agency, everything is to do with deadlines and handing over projects to clients. If you're working, like me as a financial analyst, my stakeholders were a bunch of colleagues who asked me nicely to, send them an update. So I feel it's a much gentler environment to get started with Power BI, and also just to get your basics right. So when I came to Autodesk on a 6-month paid internship, I was migrating a report from Excel to Power BI, and looking back, I didn't use a lot of good practices, but one of the core principles I used in my early days was, I will not say no to anything, because if people ask me for certain functionality, I will find a way to give them this functionality. And I feel that's a very important skill for working with Power BI. It's that kind of, because in the early days, you don't really know what's possible. You always doubt yourself. Like if you say something is not feasible and then a week later you find out it's feasible, that could happen. So I really decided to just say yes to everything, and in fact turned out pretty well. Like everything went well. I delivered everything that I promised and learned a lot of things along the way. And after my internship, they kept me full-time, but COVID started, and suddenly I spent a lot more time in my bedroom, and I decided to spend this time doing freelance orders for other clients. So I registered my accounts on freelancer.com and Upwork, and I started applying for jobs. And this experience was very interesting to me, because I went from working with one type of data with a lot of different types of data. Companies used all kinds of data sets. And I think that was an important moment for me, because at that point, I learned how to apply Power BI principles to any data sets, and I think that's what makes you a real professional, is that it's not that you can replicate a success for one company. It's that you have those skills to make a project successful for whatever kind of company approaches you. So I think this transition to kind of freelance agency type of work, that was a pretty important step for me. In my early days, I was taking small orders, like $10 an hour type of orders. I remember there was one order I took. It was $10, fixed price. I spent like 10 hours on it, and it was definitely not worth my time. But the way I looked at it is, I was developing useful skills, I was getting reviews, and it's kind of like laying foundations to my future career. So I think it's important to have this mentality when you're first starting to sell services, because you have no reputation yet. So it's all about developing this initial reputation. I also started developing more dashboards, and I started like putting my portfolio together. Portfolio is super important. Like whatever job you go to, like portfolio is going to be the number one thing people judge you on. They don't care about your education, whether you have a university degree, years of experience. All they care about is if you can deliver like the solution they're looking for, and a portfolio is the best way to show it. And I think in your early days it makes a lot of sense to invest into your portfolio, because first of all, by doing that, you make your clients really happy. So what I'm saying is, when a client gives you a job to develop a dashboard, make sure you over-deliver. You design your dashboards the best way possible. And at the end of it, you would have a portfolio item that a client paid you for. Even if they didn't pay you like too handsomely, still, like, you walk out of that project with a portfolio item that you can show to others, and likely, hopefully, a really good review. So yeah, I think that's a very important thing to note. I then went through a couple of months of struggling to find clients. I had good reviews, good portfolio, but I was applying for like $10 an hour. And I then, just as a test, like sent some applications for $30 an hour. And suddenly I started getting a lot more replies. And that was a revelation for me, in terms of, there are a lot more projects in this price range as compared to the very low end, which is, $10 an hour. So, then we started getting, I started getting inquiries on an ongoing basis. Every month I was getting new inquiries and new clients, and I started putting a team together, and I started hiring people who were a lot more experienced than I was, and giving Power BI work to them and just managing this work. And I think it was important that I had the basic Power BI skills, because without them I would not be able to manage the projects. And also, if something went wrong, if like a developer got ill, I could always go into the Power BI reports and finish it myself. So I knew that the risks to my reputation were pretty much minimum. And it really took off. For a while, I had 2 jobs. In 2022, I left Autodesk to focus fully on my agency, and this is where I am right now. I did some other things along the way. I got my professional certification from Microsoft. To be honest, you don't really have to do it. Like, I think it's a nice approval stamp, and especially if you're just beginning your career, I think it's it's a nice touch if you have a professional certification, but your portfolio is much more important than this. So, if you're starting out, then why not? But if you are already experienced, if you already have the portfolio, certification is not going to do too much for your career. I think that's pretty much my road to becoming a Power BI consultant, and I'd love to learn how you guys got to where you are. So leave a comment under this video, share your story, and if you have any questions about my story, then please leave a comment as well. See you in the next one.